When God stands up. In a small cottage by the edge of a whispering forest lived a girl named Alara and her very best friend, a fluffy white dog named Bramble. They spent their days chasing sunbeams and naming the clouds. To Alara, the world was a giant playground full of wonders, and as long as the sun was high, she felt as brave as a lion. But when the sun began to dip behind the hills, the world changed. The bright greens turned to deep purples, and the long shadows of the trees began to stretch across the grass. "Come on, Bramble," Alara whispered, clutching her stuffed toy tight. "The night is coming, and it looks a little bit grumpy today." Inside her room, the shadows were even trickier. The coat rack looked like a reaching giant, and the curtains swayed like ghostly wings. Bramble tucked his tail and crawled under the bed. Alara sat on her covers, feeling very small. The room felt cold, and her heart went thump, thump, thump against her ribs. Then, Alara remembered the words her grandmother had taught her. They were powerful words about a king who is bigger than the night. She closed her eyes tight, took a deep breath, and whispered into the quiet air, "May God arise. Let his light fill this room. When God stands up, everything changes." Suddenly, the tiny spark began to grow. It wasn't like a lamp or a flashlight. It was a warm, living glow that smelled like rain on hot pavement and toasted bread. The light began to stretch upward, taller and taller, until it reached the ceiling. It was a great presence, standing tall and strong right in the middle of her room. When God stands up with mighty power, the darkest fears begin to cower. The giant in the corner didn't look like a giant anymore. As the light touched the coat rack, Alara saw it was just her favorite yellow raincoat and a sun hat. The ghostly wings were just the curtains letting in a gentle, cool breeze. Bramble felt the courage in the air, too. He hopped out from under the bed and barked a happy, bouncy bark. He chased a lingering shadow toward the closet, but before he could catch it, the shadow turned into a harmless, colorful dust mite that danced in the golden rays and disappeared. Alara stood up on her bed, feeling tall herself. She realized that she didn't have to be afraid because she wasn't alone. The great light was like a shield all around her. "His enemies all run away," she sang out loud. "They cannot stay where God holds sway." The darkness had no place to hide. For God is strong and always near. He guards our hearts and calms our fear. Alara looked out the window. The forest didn't look whispering or scary anymore. Under the starlight, it looked like a quiet, sleeping kingdom. She knew that the same power standing in her room was watching over the whole wide world. With him we stand in courage bright, for God himself becomes our light. Alara snuggled down into her pillows, and Bramble curled up at her feet. The golden glow settled into a soft, steady hum of peace. As she drifted off to sleep, she knew that whenever she felt afraid, she only had to remember, God is standing up for her.